Hi, and welcome. I'm glad I'm going to talk a little bit so people get a chance. You can up to 3. Okay. You can now add up to 3 guests to your. Okay. I think that's if I want other talkers. Anyway, starting to fill all of this in, and someone. Getting this started, rather. I want to see how this goes. It's my first time doing it. Excuse me for a second. And here's the real star of the show, PD. So what I wanted to do is start off with just kind of introducing myself while people hopefully are going to sign on and watch this video, which I will later post to Facebook. So if you're not able to watch it real time, live stream, you can watch it at your leisure. So it is a snowy morning in Philadelphia. I shoveled around 7 a.m. and that was around 6 inches. So I see about another inch or so has fallen since then. A little about myself to get started. My name is Thom Duffy, and I live in South Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in a neighborhood known as Girard Estates. This is Petey, my best buddy and elder pup. He's around 15 or 16 years old. I'm going to set him there so he can get comfortable. We've been living in this house for 10 years now. I lived in another house in South Philadelphia before this, and I had a few apartments throughout Center City and South Philadelphia leading up to renting this home. A little bit about my art and education background. I've been painting and drawing ever since I was a little kid. I have turned my dining room table and into my art studio since isolating to keep myself safe from COVID, and it doesn't seem like I'm going to be entertaining big parties anytime soon. So you'll see that my dining room is now my art studio, which I'm enjoying, and it also reminds me as a kid, I used to work a lot in the kitchen, at the kitchen table, doing drawings and watercolors and paintings and stuff like that, which I continue to do today. I grew up out in Berwyn, Pennsylvania. Actually, specifically at a little town known as Dalesford, Pennsylvania, which is between Berwyn and Paoli, out on the main line, the R5. I don't know. I think they call it the Paoli-Thorndale line now. I went to Archbishop Carroll High School and St. Norbert's Grade School. I went to Kutztown University in the mid-'80s. And I was taking a lot of art studio classes there and majoring in communication design, commercial and graphic art. All of the classes and courses I was taking were all by hand. Letter press on letter sets, hand-drawn illustrations that were either watercolors, marker renderings, a little bit of acrylics then too. But also the cut paper and all of those fun hands-on graphic design stuff I did back in the day. So from Kutztown and graduating, I really didn't take off in the commercial and graphic design industry because I didn't work with computers at Kutztown, and then all of a sudden computers were a huge part of that history, hitting around 1987, 88. Which is right when I graduated. So then I went into the family business, and after doing a little bit of catering and banquet managing, and then after that I started working in the fine arts, way out and back in the day at Langman Gallery in Willow Grove Mall. That was the late 80s, early 90s. And then from Langman Gallery I went to Snyderman Gallery in Old City and worked for Rick Snyderman, who was a dealer in American crafts, ceramics, glass, some fibers too, and also some painting. I worked with artists such as Judith Schechter, Michael Frechette, who I'm friends with on Facebook here, and Mitch Gillette as well. So it's great to maintain those connections with them through social media and sending private messages now and then as well too. From Snyderman Gallery, I went, which was the private sector, I went into the nonprofit and worked for the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts in the development department, specifically working with the Women's Board in producing some of their events and raising some considerable funds for student prizes and some other things. And from there, I went working for private sector again. I had a little stay at Newman Galleries on Walnut Street, and then the Pennsylvania Art Conservatory, which is on Chestnut Street, same block as Shores Gallery, and Freeman's used to be there as well too. So from there, I got into therapeutic massage and energy work once the 2008 and the market crash, because the market crash wasn't going to have the fine arts bounce back anytime soon. So I knew I had to reinvent myself and pick a new industry. And I had always thought of wanting to get into healthcare, whether it was a nurse, but I thought maybe therapeutic massage would be a more accessible route for me to go, and I'm really glad I did that, because now I have a nice small private practice. I have folks that come and visit me here in my home. Later we'll go up into the second floor and I'll give you a tour of works in the hallway, but also show you works hanging in the massage therapy room that I have upstairs, which I've taken down the table just to have the space to walk around and not be so cumbersome, and it actually looks like a really nice gallery space in there as a result. So I started massage therapy in 2011, so my business is up and running 10 years, going into 12 this year. And I'm lucky to have a really strong practice that also gives me the freedom to work and do a lot of painting and drawing, and also of my own work, and kind of explore. So I'm able to do both therapeutic massage and my fine arts and painting. In the past couple years, I've been blessed with the resources to be able to reach out and support some local artists and go to their shows. I've learned of, made connections through a lot of friends through the Da Vinci Art Alliance, and I've purchased some works from there and their member shows, and you'll see them here hanging in my home. I've also made purchases in recent years from a website known as Black Art in America, and that organization and company is organized by Naja Dorsey and his wife Satira, and I've gotten to know them in recent years through the purchases that I have made. But I first met Naja Mr. Dorsey when I went to the Black Art in America show that was exhibiting here in Philadelphia in the Underground Railroad Museum out in Fairmont Park. My niece and I went to see that show, and there was a lot of black artists being featured, and I believe there were some art galleries that were being featured there as well too. It was a beautiful day to walk through and see all this works by Black American artists. And that show I saw, I believe it was 2018 or 19, and I've been following them since 2020. And I remember it was the month of June 2020, because that was a very emotional time for our country. We were having a lot of protests and people standing up for Black rights and Black Lives Matters, and I was one of those folks. And I thought to myself, you know, I should really step up to the plate as an artist and a collector and start buying some art from the Black community and communities of color. So I've done that today, and I'm glad to have an opportunity to show you that. And I've also bought some local artists as well from the Black community, Black artists. So with further ado, it seems like I have 14 people signed on, and I welcome you all. And I will get started and start with the tour. And just to give you an idea of how it's going to go about is I'm going to start on the first floor here, the first floor of my house. You'll see the snow coming down behind me and my big picture window. And I'm going to give a tour down here, which is a lot of works that I've acquired recently. But also, as I mentioned earlier, this is where I work and have my own studio space. So, without further ado, I will start the tour, and I gotta put on my glasses because I gotta flip the camera around, and I don't know which button it is. There it is. Voila, let's start with what's right in front of me. And this is a sweet little ink drawing by Natalie Hope McDonald. And it is depicting the first gay and lesbian. Back then, I think they were just saying gay rights. They weren't saying gay and lesbian, but today it's LGBTQ rights. And that's Barbara Giddings, and I forget the gentleman behind her, and I do believe his first name is John. But I'm really glad to have this piece. It speaks to our history here in Philadelphia, and the history in Philadelphia really plays a part in some of the work that I do, especially when I'm doing works of Philadelphia. So I'm blessed to have that by Natalie Hope McDonald. She lives here in Philadelphia. She's an art writer as well as a muralist. She's done commission work here in Philadelphia, but I've also seen that she's done recent commission work in Pittsburgh as well. You can find her here on Facebook, Natalie Hope McDonald. Continuing with that theme of LGBTQ and pride, here I have what I call Philly Pride. And it is a piece that I did from a photograph I took on a boat tour that was arranged by the Independence Business Alliance, which is a professional networking group that I belong to and have been since 2012. And I have both businesses part of that group, Thom Duffy Fine Art and Thom Duffy Massage Therapy. The tour was on a Pride Sunday in June here in Philadelphia. And as I said, we were on a boat on the Delaware River. And I took a bunch of pictures back then. I'm quite a shutterbug, especially at events. I like doing that. So this was one picture I took, and I really liked the composition, and I really like how it spoke to the skyline of Philadelphia, but it also talks to the neighborhoods and the old city in the foreground. I'll just come up close so you can get a better look. I like to do works that speak to Philadelphia's history and how the history of Philadelphia is built on the people and the neighborhoods, and the history comes from them. So here, this piece was, as I said, it was 2013, which was the Pride Day, that Sunday. And I did this huge graphite drawing in 2013 of that year. And the history also speaks to the skyline. You'll notice that there's the one Comcast tower there. The second one goes up, I believe that went up in 2018 or so, and it would be in this part right here. But it wasn't there when I took this photo and did the graphite drawing. In 2018, I brought this drawing back up from the basement and I rolled it on the wall over there where my studio is and started to glaze over it with acrylics, which is something I wanted to do. I like to have, I like the drawing quality, glazed acrylics, let remain and show through. So I feel like this was a really kind of breaking point. It's a successful beginning for me. And also I returned to it. So that is Philly Pride by Thom Duffy. And and it's here in my living room. I've got another older oil up on top of my bookcase, and it's an oil painting, and then I later went over it with some oil pastels. And I did that. I went over it last summer with some oil pastels, and I'm really happy with the way that was kind of revisited in that way. There's a little bit of the storm and the plants going on in my picture window. In this corner, I've got a mix of artists and some of my work as well too. I'll just pan back a little bit so you can get a look. So that's the corner niche there. Let's start at the bottom here. This painting is by Rudy Wabito, who is a good friend of mine, and he lived here in Philadelphia, and he's a graphic designer too, or was a graphic designer, but also a really talented painter. And he was doing a lot of print design working here in Philadelphia when he lived here, and he had a nice little house on Juniper Street. So this is a nice little sweet painting of that Rudy did that I do believe is Philadelphia here. And it's a small little acrylic on canvas. Above that is another graphic designer friend of mine, Stella Gassaway. And I acquired these on her Square app website, her inventory retail store that she had there. And these are sweet little 4x4 drawings. And she was selling them individually, and I was having a lot of fun picking 4 at a time because I knew I wanted to have these set up in a little square format like this. So I would select the 4, and then I would either say, all right, Stella, why don't you arrange them for me, and I'll have our friends, Brian and Keith, frame them up. So it was kind of fun doing that, selecting them 4 at a time, and then having them framed. And it was Stella who and I were kind of like, we should really reach out and support each other. I knew she was getting work and she was promoting artists. She has a studio building on Carpenter Street, 1248 Carpenter, I believe. And it's a big, gorgeous building. It has a huge mural on the outside, and it houses quite a few artists there. And she and Margaret have studio space there as well too for their graphic design and desktop publishing business, but also she does these beautiful drawings, and she also does works on panel too that are much larger than this, like 36 by 36 or even larger. And she uses really cool acrylic markers. And these are some of those markers, but they're also pencils and ink and stuff. So I really like them. So, and then this corner, just ignore the ugly. But these are my paintings, and these are little squares I did, little abstracts. This is like a cold winter, and then the spring is starting to come in the background with the green in the front and the orange in the back. And this one is a spring themed one. Here we have a Persimmon, which is just a sweet little watercolor that I like. And then a lot of times I don't travel a lot, so I just paint things to I want to be there. So here's a little sandy beach scene. So, okay. I'm going to pan around, and I'm going to go into my studio now and go back and talk about some things. Actually, why don't I do this and then I'll go into the studio. So this corner here, which is right on the side of where my Pride of Philly is, these are little ink drawings that Keith Brightfeller works on. And he does these, a lot of times he'll be roasting vegetables or making dinner, and while they're in the oven, he'll pick up his pens and start doing these sketches. And I just love the depth in them, the really beautiful marks that he's making, and the palette. And I just really like them. He also does beautiful larger works on canvas, which he does acrylic underlays, and then he goes over top of them with oils, and they're really beautiful. You should also check up Keith Breitfeller. And Keith Breitfeller and his husband, Brian Dennis, are also my framers. So if you're in need for a framer, B&K Arts, which is located on 16th Street, just north of South Street. I don't have the exact building number, but if they're watching, they can put that in there. Don't feel like you're being horrible and promoting yourself. We need to help each other out. And if you can get some business out of posting your address here or contact, that would be great. I'd welcome that. Here are works by myself, but also Tim McFarland and Ernest Costin. The portrait in the center is by me, and that's a portrait of Ernest. And I recently acquired this sweet little painting by him, and I really love it. And Ernest and I worked together a few years ago when I was coordinating shows at Taproom on 19th Street, and I was also doing Rossi Hair Studio, which was next to 12th Street Gym. He's now on Spruce Street, 1010 Spruce. And I had a few other, Mike's Barbecue. I was coordinating shows there by different artists, and Ernest was one of them. And I really like his work. Self-taught artist, and I really like the work that he's putting out. Really nice stuff. And that's an acrylic on canvas. And this is my piece, which is a portrait of Ernest. And we had a fun afternoon one time. He came over and sat for me, and I did a pencil sketch of him, and then I sat for him too, and he did a pencil sketch for me. So later I glazed it over with the acrylics, and I'm really pleased with the result. I love the skin tones. For my birthday this past October, I got myself a beautiful Tim McFarland. And I went to see the show, which was at Bridget Mayer Gallery, and she is located on Walnut Street, overlooking the park there. She's on the 700 block of Walnut Street. And Bridget's been in business for, I want to say, 20, 25, maybe 30 years. And I can be corrected on that. If anyone knows, they can put in the comments. But I've been following Tim McFarland's work for a long time as well, too. I think I first saw his work, I want to say the studio 900 block of Spring Garden. I think he had a studio there, and I saw his work. And then I saw it being shown in different galleries throughout the city. And he's been showing with Bridget Mayer Gallery. So he is Tim McFarland. He lives here in Philadelphia. And when I saw the show at Bridget's of Tim's this past October, it ran from October to November, I believe. And I actually saw it the day. It was my birthday weekend. I saw it when he was taking it down, and the front gallery was still installed, and he was taking down the larger pieces, which were really beautiful. But I did wanted to get one of his, and I was looking at some of the smaller works, which I knew were accessible to me, and also I could have the space to show them in my room, in my house rather. So I was looking at some smaller ones, and then I went back and looked again, and I made an appointment with one of the gallery associates at Bridget Mayer Gallery, and they had this one out too, which I'm glad they had this out. And I said, you know what, let me get this one. Because it's, I love the theme of it, which Tim shared with me, is that it is a painting of a garden in South Philadelphia, which is perfect for me. I love gardening, and I love South Philadelphia. And South Philly is such a great place to, it's blessed with a lot of yards and space for people to do gardening. I was in one of the old Girard Estate twin homes and had a huge backyard, probably the largest in South Philadelphia, and I had a lot of fun landscaping and gardening there. So yeah, that's by Tim McFarlane. I'm really happy to have acquired that. And again, I got it through Bridget Mayer Gallery here in Philadelphia. The next row of this series, oops, sorry, or of this grouping rather, the top two, the portrait I did from, I believe it was my kindergarten class portrait. So yes, that stylish looking dapper young lad, toothless young lad is me. And this was shown outside of the mayor's office, and that show was curated by Janis Allman, and it was in a case outside the mayor's office, and I went to go look at the show, and I remember there was two cops kind of, I don't know if they were cops, they were in plain street clothes, but they kind of had a detective aura about them. Anyway, they were kind of, they liked the painting and they were kind of laughing at it, and it reminded them of a Bugs Bunny cartoon sort of look, which I really didn't mind that. I kind of liked that they saw that in there. So, and it's kind of fun listening to people you don't know talk about your work. The small 4x6 on top of that, the heart, the hugging heart, that was a piece I did for Stella Gassaway, who did the grid paintings over there. She has these fun shows. She loves promoting other artists, which I really love about her and Margaret. And she'll have an open invitation for people to do these 4x6, and you basically drop them off, and they're arranged in the hallway, and you can buy other works. And so I actually bought two by Donna Quinn, and we'll see those later. Those are upstairs. But the theme of that show was the color blue, which made me think of Barbra Streisand's song, "I'd Rather Be Blue Thinking of You," from Funny Girl. Anyway, so those two are that. And then down here is a beautiful works on paper and collage piece by Robert Reinhardt that I purchased at the Da Vinci Art Alliance member show. And I believe it was definitely 2020, and I think it was either late spring or early summer. So I just think that's really beautiful of Robert's work. Robert Reinhardt, he lives here in Philadelphia. You can see his work on Facebook and also on the Instagram, Robert Reinhardt. And he's probably on here too. Hopefully he's here watching. If he wants to wave or put a comment in, you can maybe connect with him in that way to see more of his work. Actually, before I go on, I just want to take a little break and give a panoramic scan of me standing at the door, starting with the city of Philadelphia, scanning to what used to be my dining room, is now my art studio. And then I want to come back. I want to go over, talk about what's on the table in a little bit. All that work is mine. But before I do, I just want to talk about two more artists that I have hanging near my studio. These are beautiful photographs by Rob Liebeck that I acquired this last summer and had them framed at B&K Arts. Thank you guys, and thank you Rob Liebeck. So the story of me connecting with Rob Liebeck was more than just the Da Vinci Art Alliance, which I did start to see his work and know him that way, but it was also through Facebook and social media. I started to see him posting his photographs, and my dear friend Ed Grizzeski also loved Rob's work. And the reason, other than Rob's beautiful, powerful photography, Ed was attracted to, but the subject matter that Robert would work with is a lot of Philadelphia. And it dealt with the Philadelphia waterways. It also dealt with portraits and scenes in Center City. Robert and Ed would comment, he's like, I love how he speaks to water and sustainability. And he even has pictures of puddles, and reflecting in the puddles is City Hall Tower or something like that. And it spoke to Philadelphia, but it also spoke to the water runoff system. And I selected these that speak specifically to the waterways in Philadelphia. Let's start at the bottom, which is a black and white photo of Bartram Gardens. And then above that is a photo of falls at the Wissahickon. Then I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that high. Sorry for the odd tilt to the camera, but that is, of course, the Fairmont Waterworks. So my dear friend Ed Grizzeski was the executive director of the Fairmont Waterworks for many years. Ed had a brave battle with cancer for a very long time, and sadly in December of 2020 he moved on to the other side. So and Ed mentioned Rob Liebeck in our conversations, and within that past couple years he's like, you know, I would love to do a show with Robert Liebeck and have it at the Fairmont Waterworks. And because I love how he speaks to sustainability, I love how he speaks to our water systems and the water runoff systems. And, you know, I was like, oh yeah, that would be a really impressive and amazing show. And I'm sure Rob would love to have that. So with Ed passing, they started the Ed Grizzeski Memorial Fund, and also, and they invited friends to join in a Zoom meeting, which I did. And I actually brought up my conversation with Ed about Rob Liebeck's work and doing an exhibition of Philadelphia waterways and for the Fairmont Waterworks and all that sort of thing. So in that Zoom meeting, Karen Young's like, do it. I was like, what? She goes, let's do it. Let's do that show. And I was like, okay. So we're doing the Ed Grizzeski Memorial Exhibition at the Fairmont Waterworks, which will be held April through June of 2022. Rob Liebeck was the first artist I chose to be in that artist. So it includes him and 12 other artists, which also includes myself. I did a portrait of Ed Grizzeski, which I'm excited, but I'm not going to show now. Stay tuned for more information about that show, which will be at the Fairmont Waterworks this spring, April through June of 2020. And it's going to be called Ripple Effect, the Ed Grizzeski Memorial Exhibition. So I'm really excited for that. Here are some older works I did. I want to talk about the one in the center, which is a portrait of a friend of mine, Richard McMichael, who I don't know if he remembers this day, but it was a snowy day in January of, I think, 2003.
and it was a big snowstorm. I was at 1002 Spruce Street. Richard came over, we like made soup or whatever, and he sat for me, and I painted this oil of him, and I really like it. It's a really handsome photo, or really handsome rendering of Richard, and the colors are great too. The two cast hall sketches I did at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts cast halls, and I actually like the three of them paired together. So as I just realized this morning when I set them up like that, I was like, wow, where's my... Anyway, so here are some works on paper I brought out and wanted to talk about and show. But let me just finish giving a scan of my studio space. So here is a pencil drawing by Keita Broadhead that my dear friend Bill Scott introduced me to at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. And we had a nice little chat on Facebook the other day when he was talking about Keita. And I said, yeah, and he was talking how small she was, and you know, she was this tiny little woman, but such power in her paintings and such power in just being a very pleasant, nice person. I met her at her 101st birthday at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, which was held in the cast halls. And I thought, you know, this woman is like 4 foot tall. She's probably taller than that, but I felt like I was towering over her and I was gonna fall and break her. But I didn't. I shook her hand and she like gave me this squeeze of a hand. I was like, dang, she's not gonna break. So anyway, I love having that, and I love how it speaks to the figurative work that I'm enjoying to explore. And yes, there is Petey, a graphite sketch of him, trying to get it without the glare. But I like having pencil sketches on the wall and around me and in my studio space. These are recent works I did. That's a small oil that I revisited with pastels this past fall. And here's another one of lemons I did. And if there's anybody who wants more information about these, just put comments down and I'll follow up and get back to you. And here's some of the energy work paintings that I was doing. This is acrylic on canvas. So now doing massage therapy and energy work, the only kind of oil work I'm doing are with pastels, because I really don't need the cleaners that much with them, and I just don't want the smell in the house. So that is the root chakra. And here is another one of the root chakra. And these are acrylics on canvas. I started this self-portrait in 2020 and I put it aside. I really liked the way I did the face rendering, and the coat I started, and I just went back to it this past fall, and I'm really glad I did, because I just loved the way the coat had turned out. And I'm glad this past fall when I returned to it, I didn't touch the face at all. I just worked on the coat and the background, and it came across nice. And I like how it speaks to another self-portrait I did at 2202 Alter Street. I had a studio there, Octave Studio, and it was managed by River, and I forget her husband's name. But anyway, I was there from 2004 to 2007, and that was one of many portraits I did there. And that's oil on found wood. Here's another canvas piece of painting, rendering of the root chakra. And I love working with acrylics. I love the effects I get with working on acrylics on paper, and I'm starting to love the effects I'm getting with works on canvas with acrylics. Sometimes I feel acrylics on canvas, for me when I use them, is they're a little too plasticky looking, which sounds silly because what is acrylic? So, but anyway, if I can just speak about materials for a little bit, these are the brand paints that I'm using now, and once you go golden, I feel like you're not gonna go anywhere else. I really like the golden colors, but I also like the way the golden paints go down on paper and go down on canvas. And I use some of the glazing, which really makes wonderful transparent layers and adds more depth when using them on canvas and paper. So anyway, just a little materials discussion. Now what I want to do is, oops, sorry. I could have done that a lot smoother, but anyway, here we go. I just want to set up an easel. Da 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 da. All right. I get silly. Anyway, so here's another chakra painting that I did on paper, and I did this one a couple years ago. And when I was going through under here, I have my flat files, and the way I have it organized, or the top drawer is ones that I feel really resolved and complete. The other ones are just kind of arranged by subject and theme and things I might return to. So anyway, this is another chakra theme. This is kind of the higher three chakras, the throat chakra, third eye, and crown chakra. And the colors that speak to that are blue, indigo, and violet. So, and sometimes I've actually had someone, a lot of people come to me for pet portrait commissions, and recently I had a client send me a photo reference to use to do a pet portrait commission for his family, and it was a portrait of a pet, a dog, but it also had a toddler in it. And I was like, I don't paint babies. And I don't paint kids. I still like this. I did this for a friend, and I didn't tell them I was doing it. And then when I finished it, I was like, I can't give it. Because I think it's a beautiful painting, but it's not a really good rendering of a specific child. But I still like it a lot, and I keep it, and I've titled it, But Her Emails. Anyway, a little humor. This one I posted recently. It's a portrait of our family dog, Hobo. And Hobo, when we were in grade school, he walked into our home and stayed. He found a house with 9 kids, parents, tons of food. Actually, Dad's like, we got to be responsible. I'm going to put an ad in the paper. Maybe, I know, he belonged to somebody. Someone did answer the ad and wanted to come over and see if it was his dog. So we put a Phillies cap on Petey, oh my God. Put a Phillies cap on Hobo with sunglasses and disguised him and brought him down. And the guy looked at him, he's like, with all these kids standing around him, he's like, that's not my dog. So it could have been his dog. Like, he didn't want to take him away from all these kids. But anyway, Hobo, he lived well into when I was in high school. And actually, I don't know if my niece Michelle is watching, but when she was just like 18 months and she would come visit, she called Hobo Bobo, and it was so cute. But anyway, I hope I didn't embarrass you, Michelle. Anyway, that's Petey. And I'm just going to show a few more pet portraits. Those sizes were around 12 by 16. This size is 18 by 24. These are for a collector in Texas, and we have to connect soon and work on getting them framed and down to her. And actually, her mother lives in Philadelphia, and this one's for her mother. So that's Leo. So with the pet portraits, here's another one of Leo that didn't really work for the client, so I worked on that other one, but I really love this as a painting. And it was a strong photograph. So I work from photographs that clients give me of their pets, which, you know, this is a memorial painting, so it wasn't like they could take pictures. They had to work with what they have. But this was a really nice photograph to work from. And so is the other one of Leo in the box. And all of these I did in 2020, so I am holding on to them for a while. This is another one for the same client, and I call this series Shelter in Place. So, because all the cats are in a box or in a bowl, Shelter in Place. Did it in 2020. But these are, I start graphite drawing, fill in with some watercolor, and then glaze over it with acrylic. And this one is of our buddy, Petey. Yeah, which I'm not going to move the camera, but he's pretty much in this position right now. In that same spot. I like going to self-portraits every now and then, because sometimes you just feel like the work that you're doing, you're like, I need to kind of stop, regroup, go back to something that's familiar, self-portrait, and then just go from there. So this is one that I did years ago, in graphite drawing, and then I glazed over it with acrylics in 2017. So. And this one, it's a little bit more serious. Self-portrait, clean shaven. And this one's a lot less serious. The Wizard. But it was still fun to work on. And again, I love all the colors that come through with the glazing and the transparency, and again, watercolor, and then acrylic, and graphite drawing type of, that's still coming through. I actually worked this from an old photo from when I was in my, I'm going to say around 30, maybe late 20s. And then I finished this one recently. It's called Deadlift, and this was one that I did. So this kind of speaks to social media, but way back in the day, there was this website called Big Muscle Bears, and it was mostly a bunch of big guys into weightlifting, training, wrestling, and it was a platform for them to connect and show pictures, and you would click I like and this and that. So it was kind of interesting how this was all pre-Facebook social media. But this was probably just one of those guys on that website, and you know, I probably, you know, just dragged and saved the image and worked from that. And what I did when I worked on it recently, when I returned with it, because I did do graphite drawing and watercolor, and then I put it in the drawer for, God, I probably did this in the 90s, the original drawing. And then I just glazed over it in the last month or so. But I wanted to to kind of be a little bit inclusive with some of the other figures in there, Asian, Latin, black, white, so. I haven't been in a while for obvious reasons, but I used to go to professional wrestling shows, and I would be a shutterbug there as well too. I did this from a photo I took of Chris Dickinson, and it was the likeness isn't as strong, but I think I got the stare that he gave because it was it was a match where it just wasn't going as great as it should, and like the audience was Philadelphia and just yelling stuff, and he was just over the audience, and the look that he just glared out, I kind of wanted to capture there, and I think I did. But yeah, that's Chris Dickinson. So I like doing figurative works, which would be the pet portraits and the cats and the wrestlers. I also enjoy doing still lifes. This is probably one of the first still lifes I did from a photograph that I took. And this is a South Philly window. I'm pretty sure it's on Rittner Street down close to St. Monica's Church. And so I took the photo and I really liked it. It had this stained glass. I'm not quite sure what these were. This is kind of a globe and orb. And then the curtains were these lace curtains in the background. This part, I couldn't really see what was over here in the photograph because it was glare, or maybe there was just nothing there. But this part is my vase and silk flowers. So I arranged the vase and silk flowers, and I took a photo of that with the same perspective. So I used that as a reference. So this is kind of Frankenstein in that sort of way. And as far as like the iconography of the Blessed Mother, I'm born and out in the suburbs, as I said, and I was raised in Catholic and went to 12 years of Catholic education, so it's pretty well ingrained in me. I'm more of a spiritualist now. And I believe more in the planet than the universe. That's kind of where my faith is focused on. But I do enjoy having, and I have them around my house too, I do enjoy having the icons around me. They bring me comfort in a way. So. And this is one I recently glazed over with acrylic, and it was a watercolor series that I did where the subject was just in this white background. So this time I went and added color to the tulips and the vase, but also in the background. And I really enjoyed the way the water of the acrylic and the watercolor on the paper come through on this. I like that quality. And then this is another recent one that I've done as well too. This is another acrylic glazed over an older watercolor. And I got this orchid, which sadly didn't last long. I don't do well with orchids, Gigi, I'm sorry. But my friend Gigi, she's in the Orchid Society in Philadelphia, and there was an orchid show that was happening here in Philadelphia, but it hasn't been here in a while. It even stopped coming before the pandemic. But anyway, this was an orchid from Gigi, Jeanette, that I have. I don't know if she's watching or not, but there it is. In fall and October are my favorite month, one I'm born in, but I just love that fall, and I love the colors of it too. So I'm really happy with the way this still life came together. One last one, and then I've got one more subject matter. And and this is a still life I did. I did it in 2019, but that's probably when I glazed over with the acrylic. And it has a heritage pumpkin. There was something else here, and I remember I wasn't happy with what it was. I even now forget what it was. So I just kind of put the red onion there. And I did that. I went back over this with acrylic after seeing with Gigi and Patty out in the Brandywine River Museum. I saw a show of Andrew Wyeth's work, and there's two watercolorists, Andrew Wyeth and Eileen Goodman, that I really love to see their work. And when I do, I'm like, why do we even bother with watercolor? So, Eileen Goodman, she's here on Facebook too. So if you want to look her up, you'll see her work, and it's just really stunning, the watercolors that she does. So anyway, I glazed over it with acrylics again, and I'm really happy with the way this kind of came to life, and it was a lot more vibrant. And this brown bottle is in a lot of my still lifes. And that brown bottle was given to me by Brian Kibler. It's one of his works that he did when he was at Tyler. We do get out of the studio now and then and do some portraits of Philadelphia. This is Shot Tower, which is, this is from a photograph I took when I was at a party, and it was on a rooftop party, and the house was like 2nd and Wharton. I forget the exact street, but anyway, this is looking north, and obviously Shot Tower is right in the center. And again, in the background is Society Hill Towers, which with the jewel-like windows and that sort of thing. So again, I love how this kind of speaks to the neighborhood and, you know, the different classes here, but also industrial and the history of Philadelphia. Shot Tower, I don't know if you folks know what a shot tower is, but when they made musket balls for rifles, this is what I read and was told, they would drop the molten lead at the very top of the shot tower, and the centrifugal force of it falling would form the ball, and then at the bottom of the shot tower there was cold water, and then the lead would solidify with the temperature change of the cold water. There's only a few of them that remain in the country, and I think this might be the only one in Philadelphia. And it's really, apparently there's a coffee shop and a playground at the base of it, so it's kind of, the shot tower, you know, kind of supports the community in that way today. And this photo reference I took was from the same rooftop party, and I call this one, Can You Hear Me Now? And this is one of the cell towers. This is 95 down here. And I like clouds. Clouds are a part of my things I love painting, as you may have seen from the Philly Pride painting. This one I did from my mind's eye. It's kind of Gerard Park in the winter. I did this a couple years ago, and it speaks to Pennsylvania Impressionists too. Some paintings I go back to and back to and back to, and this one I did. I went to it a couple times and put it away a couple times, and this past holiday I pulled it out and I got it to a place that I'm really happy with. I am. So This is Oldham Pond. This is from a photo I took of Oldham Pond, which is up in Pembroke, Massachusetts. I have dear friends that live there, and this is their backyard. And I miss visiting them. I hope to visit them soon. But in the mornings I would get up. I'm a pretty early riser, and just go, and there was this wood dock, and I would go and do some stretches and what I called yoga stretches back then. But this, I'm really pleased with the way this came out. Oldham Pond. So, there's one more piece I want to show, and then I'm gonna go take you upstairs. And it's probably going on longer than I anticipated, and I hope and glad there's 10 people here. I'm glad that there are 10 people here, and I hope you're enjoying it. This piece, kind of a panoramic of Philadelphia, and it's called Bellavista. Because I took a photo from a rooftop from Bellavista, and I really zoomed in to get this image. And I did this back in 2005, I want to say. And I'm sorry, I have it hung really high. And again, this painting talks to the history of the skyline. That City Hall there, right in the center. And you'll see to the left of that is the PMB building, which no longer has the PMB on top of that building. I think 2005, I think the first Comcast was up, but it's just not in the line of view of what I included here. Because what I wanted to do was, people my age and older will probably remember that there was this, I don't know who made it up, but there was this law or ordinance where there will be no building built higher than the hat on William Penn's hat on City Hall. This shall remain forever. Well, that kind of got shot down when it should. So now we have this tall, beautiful skyscrapers. That really looks beautiful when you're driving into the city. That's what that painting speaks to. So what I'm going to do now is start talking about some of the works I have in my private collection. Other than the works that I already spoke about. This is the entranceway, and then going upstairs. We'll start here. Well, this beautiful woman, I got this on Black Art in America. The artist's name is Vitus Shell. This is an older works of Vitus. I think it's dated 2006, and it's called Baby Hair. And I just love her gaze. There's a lot of power and compassion to that gaze. He does a lot of works on paper as well too. I really liked his work because it kind of speaks to the work that I do, because you can see a lot of drawing and then glazing with the acrylics and watercolors and that sort of thing. I was hoping to get one of his pieces, but it's just too large for my house. So I'm really delighted I got this piece though. I really love it. And the piece above it is by me. And yes, Valentine's Day is approaching quickly. So unless you want to end up in the doghouse, you should buy your lover some art. I and a lot of other people can help you with that. So connect with us. Art's a really beautiful thing to buy for somebody. I'm sorry, it's much better. So I said it. Then I got these from Black Art in America online as well too. The artist's name here is Stephen Prince, and these are linoleum block prints, and they're just really beautiful. This one's called Soul Serenade, and then this one's called Style. love them. The next two works are by Philadelphia artist, Pennsylvania Academy alumni, Kate Kern-Mundy. Kate is represented and shown at Fan Gallery, which is on Arch Street, right near the Betsy Ross house. And you'll see a big banner, F-A-N, Fan Gallery. And you'll go inside and you'll meet Fred, and you'll see a lot of beautiful works on display. Many of them, like Kate, have gone to the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. A lot of the work that Fan Gallery represents are images of Philadelphia, landscapes, buildings. Fred has a background in architecture. He has a long history here in Philadelphia. I've known him for many years myself. He also has a lot of artists that do still lifes, like Kate as well too. So I love this little still life I just got, and these are framed. This one's framed by Brian and Keith at B&K Arts. I don't know where Kate got this one framed, but it's a nicely framed one too. Next to Kate, the Jackalope. Sorry for being a little bouncy. That's by James Mundy. And James and Kate met, I believe they met at Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, and have been married since, and have 2 teenage boys, and live here in Philadelphia. James does beautiful ink drawings, pencil drawings, graphite drawings. This is a gorgeous woodcut of a jackalope. It's just really nicely done. Another heart theme. This is from the piece that I did, 4x6, that Stella Gassaway coordinated, the postcards size pieces. So, all right, so I'm gonna go upstairs, but guess what? If I leave him down here, well, I don't know, he'll be fine. He'll probably bark, but I'll figure it out. All right. I'm gonna go upstairs and show you, let's start here, who just entered my massage studio. And as I said, I removed the massage table out just to make for a nice gallery space where I can walk around and talk about the works. So the works I chose for the massage room, I chose all floral still lifes that I did, and it was again at Octo Studio at 2202 Alter Street. And I was at Octo's studio, I had a studio space there, 2004 to 2007. And I did these in around 2006. So these are all oils on canvas. This one's 36 by 36. I did this one after seeing a show of Jane Piper. I believe I saw that show at Schmidt-Dean. Pretty sure. And this is another one of red tulips. I still have that left blue vase and even that little cup. I still have those, and I paint those every now and then. It's kind of fun. This is another larger oil, yellow roses and irises, pink tablecloth. This little one I did in that house at on 2100 block of Clymer Street, because I remember that orange in the dining room. And then I do have another artist in here other than my work, and that's by Rudy Wabito, who I showed you his work before downstairs, which is a nice little, I always like that, nice little abstract. So, let's see, and then there's another roses and irises. This I did at 2010 Spruce Street. No, 1002 Spruce Street, pardon me. Yeah, I just always, it helps me to date things, especially if I don't sign and date the front, like I did in this one. That's a whole nother story, but there was a period of time where I just didn't like having my signature on the front of the work. I don't know whether that was low self-esteem or an aesthetic reason, probably both, but more so the low self-esteem, which I've worked on. And feeling better. So anyway, yeah, I did this at 1002 Spruce Street, which is the same apartment I did that portrait of Richard McMichael, which I showed you downstairs. Anyway, that's the Peekaboo series. So I like, at the end of the massage, and the client exits the room, the first thing they see is this, which I love. This is by Kevin Johnson, and this was the first piece I got from Black Art in America online, and I got it in June of 2020, and it's titled Joy and Peace, and I just love I just love this painting. I love her gaze too. Again, it's powerful and there's compassion to that gaze. And this piece is also by Kevin Johnson, which is my one. I got this more recently and I just got it framed up at B&K Arts. So I love the butterfly and the young man's hat. This sweet little circus bear drawings is by Edith Neff, and it has the estate a stamp on it. I just got this framed up, and I like what they did. Yeah, here we go. Yep, I knew that was gonna happen. All right, what I'm gonna do is that there. I know, we're almost done. We're almost done. Thank you all for staying on. Oops. There we go. Thank you all for staying on. So Edith Neff, Jackie Cotter, another Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, and Jackie and I met at PAFA when I was hired. That was when she was starting to be retired. So it was kind of a hello and goodbye, but we stayed in touch over the years, and I would run into her at gallery showings and all that. So I love having this piece by Jackie Cotter. This is by dear friend James Lines, who I want to say congratulations to James and Andrew for their wedded bliss of recent. They just got married recently, which is nice, over the holidays, I believe. This is a piece I did of Charles. And then this is by Seymour Rotman, which is an antique painting. Seymour is a graduate of the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts. He would participate in what they called the Clothesline Show, which is now the Rittenhouse Square spring and fall painting show, where they have booths set up. But back in the day, artists like Seymour Rotman would just hang up clotheslines and clothesline their paintings and display them in Rittenhouse Square and sell them. This is probably something he did either in Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts alumni sketch club or the sketch club on Camac Street. This, and I'm sorry, you know what, take this. This is by John Schlesinger, a good friend of mine and a talented watercolorist himself. These are thistles from a photograph he took in a trip to Scotland. Here we go. We have Bill Scott here. The top one I acquired in 2020. Bill had a show at Hollis Taggart that was scheduled to open in April of 2020. We all know what happened there. I mean, the show still went up. There was an online presence, which I looked through the show, and I saw these sweet little drawings. And this one I think is called Birthday in Autumn, which, oddly enough, my birthday's in October. And the birthday before, he and good friends took me to, oh my God, the opera restaurant, Victor. So in my head, I thought, well, maybe this is about that. Anyway, I love, he's known for his oils. And in the 90s, he worked in acrylics on paper. For I think the same reasons I did, just not wanting to have all the oils in the house. But he's working in exclusive oils on canvas now, and now he's working these works of watercolor and acrylics on paper, watercolor paper, and they're just beautiful. And this is a nice little etching that I just got framed of Bill's work. This is Gilbert Lewis. Gilbert went to the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts. He also taught there. He taught materials, and he also taught still life painting and a couple other courses there. Gilbert recently had shows at the Woodmere Art Museum, at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, and the William Way. He did a beautiful series of portrait paintings of young men that he became friends with over the years. Gilbert is a part of the LGBTQ community. He's a gay male. He's still living today. He's in a long-term care facility. So I'm blessed to have this piece by him. I just love it. And again, that gaze is, it's sweet, it's tender, and there's some power in there too. Kit Donnelly's. I got this at Da Vinci Art Alliance the same time I got the Robert Reinhardt, and I really like this piece, and I like her work. I've been seeing more stuff she's been posting on Facebook. This is a portrait of moi by Natalie Hope McDonald. That's another ink drawing she did. She invited people to send her pictures of them in masks, and she did a whole series of these squares, and you can buy them. So I got that. And then this is a portrait of Bill Scott that he did, an etching, very nice. Another Jim Monday woodblock print of William Burke. I love skulls, so I saw this and I was like, I gotta get it. Now into the bathroom. Donna Quinn. I got this, which yes, Donna, I do hope to have another studio, or to have a studio visit with you. Last year just kind of fell to pieces. I was hoping to come visit you, but a lot of death and stuff started happening. So, but I love this by Donna, and I want to see if I can look at more of her work. I met her. I met her, yeah, through Stella and Margaret at that. I got these two pieces at the 4x6 show, kind of blue. And then these are other pieces of Stella's that I got online from her. She was selling them individually, and I bought a grouping of 4 and then would have them framed together. This is by a good friend that I worked with at Snyder and Gallery, Brian Kibler, who went to Tyler School of Art. Really talented kid in painting and glass, and really smart too. Kid, he's a couple years younger than me. Anyway, I hope he's well. I haven't heard or seen from him in a while. This is Jen Holgren, which I had a studio visit with her at the 900 Spring Garden, or 915, sorry, Spring Garden. She teaches and she does a lot of beautiful still lifes. She also does some plein air stuff, and a lot of her outdoor stuff she works from photo resources that she brings to her studio and works from there. I have it paired with one of my still lifes, autumn still lifes. So there is a pretty good glimpse of my work and things I've been collecting since 2020, really. But a lot of stuff I've acquired over the years before that. But I've just been, you know, when you start buying artwork, for me, it just started off with giving myself permission, like, why shouldn't I have this beautiful painting? I have the money, I have the resources. It's, you know, I'm not draining myself. I'm not overextending the work that I got. Some of the dealers that I work with are, you know, helpful as for payment plans, and you work by what they have set up, and if that works for you, you do it. I really encourage people to, you know, a lot of what you're seeing here, I've made a lot of changes since 2020, and I made a lot of changes to my own living space since 2020 because I'm spending a lot of time home. And my living space is adapting and changing to how I'm living right now. And it makes a really warm and pleasant place for me to be. It makes a warm, pleasant place for people to come and get a therapeutic massage as well too. So thank you all again for signing in. I'm going to post this to Facebook, so if you didn't see the whole thing, or if you want to go back and revisit something, you can. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your sunny day, and hope to talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye. Snowy day, not sunny day.